Hello and welcome. My name is Katie Kroner. I'm the Director of Advocacy and Awareness at the Pulmonary Hypertension Association. And today I'm going to be talking with you about the upcoming meeting between the Food and Drug Administration and the pulmonary arterial hypertension community that will be taking place on Tuesday, May 13th, 2014. I want to start first with a little bit of background about what the Food and Drug Administration does, and perhaps even more importantly, what they don't do. So what does the FUD do? Not develop or produce any drugs, and they don't conduct their own clinical trials. Those things are left to companies, corporations, that develop and manufacture drugs, particularly in the PAH field. What FDA does do is that they review the data from the clinical trials that drug manufacturers conduct, and they use this data to determine whether drugs are safe and effective. Let me say a little bit more about what safe and effective mean to FDA. Obviously, all drugs have side effects, and all drugs have risks. There's no drug without any kind of risk at all. And so when FDA needs to decide if a drug is going to be safe, they're really considering risk and benefit and trying to decide whether the potential benefit that a new drug might provide outweighs the risk of taking that drug. Similarly, with effectiveness, FDA is trying to make sure that a drug will do what the company says that it will do, and that it will bring some kind of new benefit to consumers. In some cases, the new benefit is simply that the drug is cheaper than other similar drugs that are currently on the market. But in many cases, the new benefit is that the new drug will actually target some new mechanism in a disease or treat some symptom of the disease that other medications don't do. So FDA looks at whether drugs are safe and effective, and then if they are, allows them to be sold to the public. So why is FDA meeting with the pulmonary arterial hypertension community? As we've mentioned, FDA is really good at using data to determine safety and effectiveness, and to do this, they look for measurable tests or really clear-cut ways that drug manufacturers can prove to them that a drug is effective. So in the PAH field, what that means is that when a manufacturer wants to try to bring a new drug to market, they have to do a series of clinical trials, and as part of those trials, they have to demonstrate that patients on their drug can walk further at the end of the trial than they could at the beginning of the trial. The trouble with this is that that may not be exactly what every patient wants from the ideal new drug. It might be, but FDA has never really asked. They've done a lot of talking with medical professionals and talking with drug manufacturers about what patients want from new drugs, but not a lot of talking to patients about what patients want from new drugs. So the FDA recognized this criticism and is holding a series of meetings through a program called the Patient-Focused Drug Development Initiative, where they are, for the first time in a lot of cases, sitting down with patient communities and talking with them about what they would like from drugs and how they think those effects can be measured in clinical trials. The FDA, about a year ago, had a big meeting to try to determine which disease communities they would be meeting with, and hundreds of organizations representing about 90 disease states applied to have a meeting with FDA. FDA is hosting 16 of these meetings, and the meeting with the PAH community is number 8. So we're very pleased to have this opportunity out of the many, many disease communities that applied for one of these meetings. So some basics about the meeting. It's taking place on Tuesday, May 13th from 1 o'clock till 5 o'clock. However, registration closes on April 30th. It's taking place on the FDA campus in Silver Spring, Maryland. And it's a public meeting. Absolutely anyone can attend, no matter what their connection to pulmonary hypertension. I think what we're mostly going to see is a room full of people living with PAH and their loved ones and family members. We'll also see some medical professionals in the room, as well as some industry representatives, some manufacturers of PH drugs, and some of the specialty pharmacies that distribute those drugs. How do you register? If you're listening to this Q&A prior to April 30th, then there still is the opportunity for you to register by going to phassociation.org/FDA registration, or by calling 240-402-4513. PHA will also be bringing buses from the New York-Philadelphia area and from our headquarters office in Maryland. And again, if you're listening to this before April 30th, you can reserve a seat on the bus by going to phassociation.org/FDA bus. So how can you get to the meeting? If you have registered for a bus from Maryland, you can meet at PHA's office around 11 o'clock. We'll be serving an early lunch, and then boarding the bus around noon. The bus will take you to the meeting and then bring you back to PHA's office at the end of the day. If you have registered for a bus from the New York-Philadelphia region, that bus will be leaving New York around 7 a.m. and then traveling to Philadelphia to pick up riders there. We'll be providing some additional information to everybody who has registered for those buses about exactly where the pickup location is as soon as we have finalized that. If you're driving to FDA, they note that you need to park in the southeast parking lot, which is a little bit of a distance from where the meeting is actually taking place, but there'll be a shuttle to take you to Building 31. There is no metro train that comes to the FDA campus, but there are several buses from the Silver Spring station. You can take the ride-on bus 22 or the C8 Metro bus, or of course cab if you prefer to do that. And I have a link here for some additional information from FDA about getting to their campus. You can, of course, also join the conversation with FDA by phone. Again, you need to register by April 30th using that same link, phassociation.org/FDA registration. FDA will send you follow-up information about logging on, and you're invited to respond online to audience poll questions throughout the meeting. So even if you are calling into the meeting rather than participating face-to-face, this is still a great opportunity for you to give some feedback. They will be asking poll questions about things like what PAH symptoms most impact you and what medication side effects most impact you, and you'll be able to submit your responses right there from your computer. How will the day be organized? We'll start with a welcome and overview of the Patient-Focused Drug Development Initiative that will be provided by a staff member at FDA. And then the conversation will be divided into two topic areas, one about life with PH and one about life with PH medication. The first topic will start with a few pre-selected speakers talking in response to the questions for a couple of minutes. And then after the panelists have spoken, there will be an open discussion where anyone in the audience can share their perspectives on that first topic. There will be a break, and then we'll move on to topic 2 with a similar format, panel comments first, followed by open discussion. So what about speaking? There are 2 ways to speak during the meeting if you want to, but you don't have to speak. if you would like to speak, you can either register in advance to be a pre-selected panelist, or you can hold your comments until the open mic. FDA is looking for panelists from a variety of points of view, people who have major, severe pH with a lot of symptoms, people who have very mild pH, people who are taking medication with a lot of success and have really gotten back to a very normal life, people who are taking medication with less success and still have serious symptoms or serious side effects. So no matter what your story is, we definitely encourage you to sign up to be a panelist. In order to be a panelist, you need to let FDA know that you want to be considered by checking the appropriate box on your registration form. And then you need to submit a very short outline of your comments by Wednesday, April 30th. The other way that you can speak, as I mentioned, is by participating in the open forum session after the panelists. This is certainly a great choice. It does, there's no guarantee that FDA will be able to get to everyone, but hopefully they do make a big effort at trying to do that. So what should you talk about? Comments for the FDA should really focus on their two areas of expertise, drug safety and drug effectiveness. And in fact, they have some very specific questions that they would like people to respond to. So I mentioned the two topic areas. The first topic area is disease symptoms and daily impacts of the disease that matter most to patients. So these questions are, of all the symptoms that you experience because of your pH, which 1 to 3 symptoms have the biggest impact on your life? Another way to think about this, if you're having trouble thinking about it, is this second question. Are there specific activities that are important to you but that you can't do, or that you can't do as well as you would like because of your pH? And then, what is living with pH like on your best days? What is it like on your worst days? And how have your symptoms and conditions changed over time? Here's topic 2. This moves from a conversation about what it's like to live with pH to sharing your perspectives on treating pulmonary hypertension. So what are you currently doing to help treat your condition or its symptoms? And that can be taking prescription medication, or it can be other approaches to treating pH, such as changing your diet. How has your treatment regime changed over time? How well are your treatments working? Have the medications for pH made a difference for you? And what are the most significant downsides to your current treatment? How do they affect your daily life? So what side effects do you have, and what are the impacts of those? So then what happens after the meeting? There will actually be a written comment period available until July 14th. So whether you attend the meeting or not, you will still be able to submit written comments, and PHA definitely encourages everyone to do that. FDA will create a written summary of the meeting and comments, and hopefully FDA will then use this information to adjust what they consider to be good measurements of safety and effectiveness for PAH drugs. What else should you know about the meeting? FDA provides snacks for sale, but no meal. And of course, there's no obligation to stay the whole time, whether you're participating in person or by phone. If you need to only stay for part of the meeting, that's entirely fine. You should contact me if you have any questions whatsoever about the meeting. My name is Katie. You can reach me at 301-565-3004, extension 749, or by email at katherinek@phassociation.org. Thanks so much for listening in. I hope I was able to answer some of your questions about the upcoming meeting with the Food and Drug Administration and the PAH community. Feel free to contact me if you would like any additional information. I'll look forward to hearing from you.